They taught her from the moment she could stand that feeling was weakness. On the crystalline world of Veloria, emotion was considered a relic of primitive evolution. Useful once, perhaps, but dangerous now. The royal bloodline carried the heaviest burden of this belief. From birth, Princess Saren Valkath had been trained to suppress every flicker of joy, fear, anger, or love. Her mind was disciplined with neural harmonizers, her thoughts monitored by the High Council, her body conditioned to obey logic above all else. To feel was to fail. To love was to endanger the Empire. Saren accepted this truth the way she accepted gravity or light, unquestioningly. She ruled with precision, spoke with calm authority, and never once let her voice tremble. Across 7 star systems, her name inspired awe and quiet terror. The AlienPrincess who never smiled. Until the day a damaged human ship fell out of hyperspace and crashed into the silver seas of Veloria. Beginning, the human who shouldn't exist. I didn't know where I was when I woke up. My head throbbed. My mouth tasted like burned metal. The last thing I remembered was alarm screaming through the cockpit of the Odyssey's wake, my research vessel, as an unknown gravitational surge ripped us off course. Now I lay on smooth, glass-like stone beneath a violet sky streaked with unfamiliar constellations. I tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Remain still. The voice wasn't human. It was calm, too calm, resonant in a way that vibrated in my chest. I forced my blurred vision to focus. She stood several feet away, tall and elegant, her skin a soft iridescent blue that shimmered faintly in the light. Her eyes were silver, pupilless, and unreadable. Intricate armor wrapped around her like liquid metal, etched with symbols that pulsed gently. An alien, a real one, and judging by the way she watched me, a powerful one. I'm human, I croaked, as if that explained anything. My name's Eli Mercer. I didn't mean to. I know who you are, she said, interrupting me. Or rather, what you are. Her gaze sharpened, scanning me with an invisible force that prickled across my skin. You are an anomaly. That didn't sound good. I swallowed. Look, if I broke some kind of rule, I'm sorry. I just want to get home. Silence followed. She studied me for a long moment, then turned away. You'll be taken to the Citadel, she said. The Council will decide your fate. Fate, I echoed weakly. That sounds final. She paused just slightly. Most things are. And just like that, floating constructs descended from the sky, lifting me gently but firmly off the ground. As I was carried away, I couldn't shake the feeling that my life had just been placed into the hands of someone who had never been allowed to care whether I lived or died. Middle, the princess who wasn't allowed to feel. The Citadel of Veloria was a marvel beyond anything humanity had imagined. Spires of light grown rather than built, halls that hummed with living energy, walls that responded to thought. I was kept in a containment chamber, comfortable but unmistakably a prison. Guards watched me constantly, silent, expressionless beings with eyes like hers. The princess returned the next day. I am Princess Saren Valkath, she said, heir to the Veilorian throne. I tried to stand out of respect but wobbled. She raised a hand, stopping me with a look. You are injured. Sit. I obeyed. She circled me slowly. Your species is not part of the Galactic Accord. Your presence here violates multiple containment doctrines. Then send me back, I said. I'll forget this ever happened. Her eyes flickered, just for a fraction of a second. That is not possible. Why not? Because you survived. I frowned. Survived what? She faced me fully now. Veloria exists in a harmonic dimension incompatible with most biological neural patterns. Any unshielded mind entering our space should collapse under sensory overload. I blinked, but mine didn't. No, her voice lowered. It adapted. The council convened soon after. I wasn't allowed inside, but I could hear them through the translucent walls, debating, calculating, arguing whether I should be studied or eliminated. Saren stood alone before them. His existence is a variable we do not understand, one counselor said. Variables threaten stability. He poses no immediate threat, Saren replied evenly. Emotionally driven species are inherently unstable, another argued. Humans feel too much. At that, Saren hesitated. I saw it. Just barely.
They also adapt, she said.
They form bonds. They evolve through connection. A ripple of unease spread through the chamber. You speak dangerously, Princess, the High Council warned. Remember your conditioning. Saren lowered her head. I do. And yet, she did not order my execution. Instead, she claimed responsibility for me. Days turned into weeks. I was moved from confinement to supervised residence within the Citadel. Saren visited often, not as a captor, but as an observer. She asked me about Earth, about music, art, laughter.
About love.
She never shared anything about herself. You don't smile much, I said once, half joking. I am not permitted to, she replied simply. That hit harder than I expected.
Why?
She looked away. Feeling leads to attachment. Attachment leads to bias. Bias leads to flawed judgment. Flawed judgment leads to collapse. Sounds lonely, I muttered. She stiffened. Loneliness is an emotion. Yeah, I said softly. And it sucks. She didn't respond, but something in the air shifted. Over time, I noticed changes. She lingered longer during our conversations. Asked questions without clear strategic value. Once, when I told her a stupid story about my sister stealing my food rations back on Mars, she made a sound. Not quite a laugh, but close. That was the first time the neural monitors embedded in her armor spiked violently. Alarms echoed through the Citadel. The council intervened. The human is destabilizing you, they accused. Your emotional suppressors are failing. Saren stood rigid, hands clenched. I am still in control, she said. Then prove it, the High Council demanded. Choose. I was brought before her, guards flanking me. Princess Saren, the High Council intoned, terminate the anomaly. Restore equilibrium. She looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time since I'd met her, her eyes weren't empty. They were terrified. Ending. The choice that changed everything I knew then. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about her. Saren raised her hand. Energy gathered around her palm. Enough to end my life instantly. I won't resist, I said quietly. Her gaze snapped to mine. Why? She asked. Because you deserve to choose, I replied. Not because they tell you to, but because you feel it's right. The chamber went deathly silent. No, the High Council hissed. Do not listen. Feeling is corruption. Saren's hand trembled. I was not allowed to feel, she said slowly, her voice breaking for the first time. I was not allowed to question. Not allowed to want. The energy in her palm flickered. But he did not weaken me, she continued. He showed me something you stole. Her hand dropped. I choose him. Shock rippled through the Citadel. Alarm screamed louder than ever as Saren tore the neural suppressor from her chest. Light exploded outward, shattering crystal walls, sending counselors stumbling back. Emotion flooded her, raw, overwhelming, beautiful.
Pain, fear, joy, love.
She collapsed to her knees, gasping. I ran to her side. ignoring the guards. Saren. I caught her as she fell. She looked up at me, eyes blazing with life. So this, she whispered, smiling through tears, is what it feels like. The council tried to regain control, but it was too late. Saren's awakening triggered a chain reaction across Vealoria. Others, long suppressed, began to feel again, to question, to rebel. The empire fractured, but it did not fall. It evolved. In the aftermath, Saren abdicated the throne, not out of weakness, but wisdom. A new council formed, one that balanced logic and emotion. Vealoria opened itself to the galaxy. And me? I stayed. Not as a prisoner, not as an anomaly, but as the one she chose. Years later, we stood together beneath that same violet sky. Her hand found mine easily now, naturally. They say you change the course of an empire, I teased. She smiled, fully, freely. No, she said, leaning into me. I chose to feel. She squeezed my hand, and that changed everything. The galaxy didn't change overnight. Revolutions never do. In the weeks after Saren's awakening, Vealoria existed in a fragile in-between state, no longer the emotionless empire it had been, but not yet something new. Entire cities flickered between silence and chaos as citizens experienced feeling for the first time. Some cried without knowing why. Some laughed uncontrollably. Some collapsed under the weight of memories they had never been allowed to process. Saren walked among them all. No armor, no suppressors, no royal guard. Just her and me. She insisted on it. If I am to lead again, she told me, it must be as one of them. We spent days helping stabilize districts where emotional overload had caused systems to fail. I watched her kneel beside elders shaking with fear, listen to children overwhelmed by joy, and hold soldiers who had never been permitted to mourn the dead they carried in their minds. Each time, I saw her grow stronger. Not colder, stronger. The old High Council was formally dissolved after evidence surfaced, showing how deeply they had manipulated Vealorian biology for generations. Some were imprisoned. Others fled beyond known space. A few, unable to feel without collapsing, requested their suppressors back. Saren allowed it. Choice, she said, must go both ways. That was when the people began calling her something new. Not princess. The first queen of the living age. She never officially took the title, but she didn't reject it either. As for me, I was offered a return home. Earth had detected my ship's emergency signal weeks earlier, now amplified through Vealoria's newly opened communication arrays. A rescue corridor could be opened at any time. Saren didn't ask me to stay. That mattered more than anything. The night before my decision, we stood on a balcony overlooking the silver seas. Bioluminescent waves rolled beneath us, glowing softly in rhythm with the planet's pulse. Are you afraid? I asked. She nodded slowly. Every day. I smiled. Welcome to being alive. She laughed, still getting used to how that felt, then grew quiet. If you leave, she said carefully, I will understand. Your world is not this one. I turned to her. Is that what you feel? She met my gaze. No guards. No counsel. No expectations. Just honesty. I feel, she said, voice steady, that the universe is vast and I do not want to face it without you. That was enough. I stayed. Years passed. Vealoria changed from a rigid empire into a cultural beacon, where logic guided, but emotion gave meaning. Art returned. Music echoed through cities once silent. Relationships formed not by algorithm, but by choice. Other civilizations watched closely. Some feared Vealoria's transformation. Others followed it. And humanity? Humanity finally met the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. Ambassadors arrived. Scientists collaborated. Poets wrote about a world that once outlawed love and survived choosing it. Saren never ruled alone.
She ruled with.
And when she stood before the people to formally decline the crown for the final time, she spoke words that echoed across systems. We were taught that feeling would destroy us, but it was the absence of feeling that nearly did. She took my hand before them all. I was not allowed to feel, she said, until I chose to. And in choosing, I found my future. That night, beneath a sky now mapped with both human and Valorian stars, she rested her head against my shoulder. Do you regret crashing here? She asked softly. I laughed. Worst flight plan in history. She smiled, warm, real, unmistakably hers. And the best mistake, she said. And as the galaxies slowly learned what Valoria already had, that emotion was not weakness. I knew one truth beyond any doubt. She wasn't allowed to feel.
Until she chose me.
And by doing so, she chose herself.
Milky Way.